whether it is VB or C sharp or any other, examiner is talking from the general perspective that what are the possibilities of errors, how do you fix them, what are the features offered by an IDE. So I'll just use latest version of Visual Studio, older version of Visual Studio. There are different things that I need to show you to indicate that how those things are done. So we'll start with the IDE features, or start with the programming language comes up with two options. There is a text editor and a compiler. Every programming language requires two things: the text editor and a compiler. So using the text editor, for example, this notepad, you can write your Python program here, for example. And then editor allows you to write program, edit program, you can add more lines, you can delete a line. So this notepad is the text editor in which you write your program. And after that, once the program is written, then you can compile it. And for that, you have to have a compiler of a particular programming language. If you're talking about Python, so you access Python program. And you can run your program. So when you run your program, there are two things. There can be two things. As soon as you write down the line, mistakes are caught immediately before the compilation. So up till now, compilation hasn't done, but there is a mistake, bracket is missing. So this mistake is caught before the compilation would take place. Or maybe you have written a capital letter C. So this mistake is detected before the program is compiled. You can see the C is underlined. That means there is a problem. So few mistakes are caught before the compilation. But anyways, when examiner says why compilers are needed, so you can say to convert your program into an object code or into an executable form. To run your program, compilation needed, translation is needed. So editor is to write a program, edit a program, or debug a program, whereas compiler is to translate your program so that you can run. Do you understand these two things?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Now moving to the features of IDE. Every programming language has an IDE. For example, if you talk about Python, so that's an IDE. Or you can talk about PyCharm. You can write your program in PyCharm also. The PyCharm also offer you IDE. You talk about VB. VB also offer you IDE. So in VB, when you create a new program or you open up an old program, it appears in this white window. That's an IDE. Integrated development environment. Offer you many facilities, many features are there. Similarly, you talk about IDE of Python, so you see this white screen appears and in the background, white screen is there, and then you write your program here and you have variety of options here. Huge list of features there. But what are the common features that you should remember from the examiner point of view? So I'm talking from the past papers point of view, not particularly about Python only. So if you look at this code that I've written in VB, it looks very colorful. So this is one of the feature of the programming IDE. First feature, you can write it down, is makes your code, IDE makes your code colorful. Integrated development environment gives you code, colorful coding, makes your coding colorful so that you can differentiate easily what are the keywords, what are the things that you have written. Output that I want is appearing in red color. Keywords are appearing in, you know, blue color, this dim and integer. Similarly, it happens in Python. You see the colorful code here. So values are written in green, and then the variable are written in black because users have created them, whereas keyword like print appearing in purple color, and this equal sign is a kind of assignment. Storing the data is appearing in blue color. So it makes your code colorful. And similarly, when I write down my program in VB, for example, so you see spacing in the beginning of each line. So this is called indentation. In Python, this is very important. If the indentation is wrong, you have seen that it wouldn't work. So indentation meaning what? Spaces in the beginning of each line. And that is done automatically. As soon as you write down the line and you take the cursor. So for example, I've written this line coming on the left hand side. After writing it, as soon as you bring the cursor down, now I'll take my cursor down, see what will happen. This will shift slightly to the right hand side. Check. Okay. So this is called indentation. Each line is properly indented. The lines under if are also indented with further space so that you can see whether these lines are part of this if command or part of the submain. So you can see command that are part of submains coming under the submain, and command that are part of if command then part coming underneath that only, and command that are part of else if coming underneath that only. So that's the second feature called indentation. After that, you can see I'm writing them in a small letter. As soon as I take the cursor down, this dim would become capitalized. So each letter of the keyword is capitalized. So capitalizes keyword. And imagine that you're writing such a long program. Acha, before I proceed further now, yeah, chalo, let's go like that. Yeah, if I have this long program, in this long program, for example, there are errors somewhere, and I'm not sure where the errors are. So you can go on the top and start reading it. Lines that you have already read, for example, these are the lines that you have read already. Let me open up another subroutine here, Ashir, sub Ashir. So that means there will be a subroutine by the name of Ashir, like a procedure. Sub Hussein, there can be another procedure here. So there are two procedures, and you can see this minus sign. So if there are problem in this program or in this small subroutine of Ashir, so I have gone through, supposingly, I thought that there is a problem. What you do is go through this, read it carefully. And after reading it, you realize that there's no problem in it. Then you can click on minus sign because you have read this program. You have read this portion of the program already. Now you can read the rest of the program to find the mistakes. And then whichever part of the program you would finish reading, you can click on this minus sign to hide the code. So this feature is called hide code or collapse the code. Oh. Yeah, hide code and collapse code. It doesn't mean that the lines are removed physically. Lines will simply be hidden from there. And you can open them back if you want. So you can click on this plus sign now. When you do that, this line will come back again, will appear again. So this is to unhide. This feature is called expand the code. Hide the code, expand the code, or unhide the code. Got it? Now,
Yeah, sure.
when,
Yes, sir.
when examiner says what, identify three things that make your program easier to understand. Identify three things that make your program easier to understand. Number one, annotation. Number two, indentation. And number three, meaningful identifier name. Meaningful identifier name meaning what? It can be
So like variable names, right? The names you give to the variable.
variable names, procedures names, or functions name. After that, examiner says, what are different types of errors? The types of errors include syntax error, meaning whenever words are misspelled, keyword. Keywords are misspelled, or there are grammatical error, meaning punctuation error. Like you forgot to open the bracket, close the bracket, bracket is missing, brackets are missing, or comma is missing, or quotations are missing. Any of these are missing. Or parameters are missing. Or maybe you have written additional parameter. Maybe you have written additional parameter. What are the example of this? Parameters are missing or additional parameter. For example, you're writing a print command. So what if you have written the wrong spelling? N is missing. So this first point covers that. Whenever keywords are misspelled like that, the first point is linked to this. Or maybe, what if you have written grammatical error is there? Like you have written print, that is written correctly, but the bracket you have opened up there, you forgot to close the bracket. So yeah, that will cover the second point. Grammatical error as well as, yeah, second point. These are the example of the second point actually. And then what if the parameters are missing what? When you say print mid of Pakistan only. So in mid function, we write down three things, not just one parameter. Three parameters should come. So that means parameters are missing. So it covers my last point, parameter, second last point, parameters are missing. And when you write print mid, and then you're saying from position number 3 to grab two letters. So this was the right method, that you tell that from where you want to extract the letters. So I want to extract the letters from Pakistan from position number 3, and then I want to grab two letters. So it's going to give you two letters, like in pseudocode form. If you're writing it, so it will give you two letters K and I, because first letter position is going to be 1. So 1, 2, and then 3. From third position, find grab two letters. But what if instead of writing three parameters, you're writing one more parameter, and God knows for what? So this covers my last point. So this has an additional parameter. The last parameter shouldn't be a part of it. This should not be there. This is wrong. Parameters are missing. So more parameters should come up here. So there the parameters are missing. And then the brackets or commas are missing. That's this point. And words are misspelled. That's this one print instead of writing print. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then we're talking about another error type called semantic error. Like in VB, for example, declaration is must. In Python, you don't do that. But in VB, declaration is always must. Just like a baby is born in a hospital, so you have to doctor always declare to the parent whether they have a male baby or a female baby. Similarly, in your program, when you are writing it, you will be using variables. So you got to specify on the top how many variables you're going to use in your program. So A and B, these are the two variables you're going to use in your program. So you can declare them first, that A and B both are integer variable. So what if in A you are recording integer variable? That means that's fine, perfect. In B, you're writing Pakistan. So it shouldn't happen. It is something wrong that in an integer variable you're writing alphabetic data. So you can't do that. A comma B. You want to print the values also, A comma B. So now there are two types of you know method where computer can detect the problem. If I say maybe you're writing an if command to detect where the problem is, but sometimes you have written the error code. In case of error, your program should appear. Fine, you have written that. That is called error handling code. But there are few errors that are caught by the IDE before your program will catch them. Let's see, take a look. When I run this program, IDE will find it out itself. I did not write any error description. This error came up automatically. It says, look at this line, additional information conversion from string to the type of integer is not valid. Meaning computer tried to convert this into integer but was failed to do it. So this is how the computer has detected that there is a problem of data type mismatch. So you don't have to write down the code to catch this error. Before your program will catch it, the IDE itself will catch it, right? So there are two things. Sometimes you write the program to catch errors, and sometime before your program will catch errors, IDE automatically will pick that error. So this was an IDE catching of errors, right? Do you understand this?
Yeah, sir.
Right. So semantic error mean what? Means what? Data mismatch errors. You are storing letters in an integer variable, or storing numbers in a Boolean variable. Like the Boolean variable can have true and false only. So you cannot store numbers in it. So these are the type of errors. I hope you understand there are three different types of errors. Syntax error, semantics error, now the third one, logic error. When there is some wrong condition. I have a variable a, suppose. A initially is 0. And what if you write while a is less than 100? Do what? Then do print. And we can say and while. Console.write bracket open a. We can say print in Python. This command would do what? It would check what is the value of a. A is 0. Then it's going to come here. It will compare. Is a, meaning 0, is less than, is 0 is smaller than 100? Yeah, it is true. When it's going to run this line, control.write line a. The value of a is what? 0. So it will print 0 on the screen. And then we'll run again. Again, we'll compare 0. Again, we'll check that 0 is less than 100. Oh, yeah, it is. So your program will keep on printing 0. So it's a kind of program that will produce infinite results. See, all zeros would appear in a, this program will never end. It's like an infinite program that is keep on printing 0. Why? Because there is a logical error. The value of a will remain 0. You are not changing it. You are not changing it. So every time the loop is running, it is checking that 0 is smaller than 100 and condition is true always, and it will run this loop, will never end. Well, what is missing in it? These are the most difficult errors to catch. Computer doesn't find it out. You have to catch them, meaning users will find it out. What mistake is there? And then you can read your program carefully. A equals to a plus 1. There should be a change in the value of a. So every time it would print, then a should increase and then should go up. A would become 1 and then 2 and then 3. Time would come and this a will become 100 and it's going to come out. Check that. Got it? So if this line
Yeah,
is
sir.
missing, if this line is missing, that means there is a logical error. And you have to find it out yourself. Use of wrong conditions. That will lead to a never-ending loop. Moving up, there are two more things just came in my mind. We were talking about features of an IDE. You can add up two more things. If I define two variables there, A and B, check carefully Check carefully. I'm not using B in my program at all. B is written on the top, has been declared. This has been declared, but I'm not using it. So this IDE is so efficient that it detects that there is a variable that you have declared. Declared variables are known variable because computer knows them. So it's a known variable, a declared variable that is unused, that you didn't use in your program. So that is why it is showing you green color line underneath that B. Check that here. So telling you about an unused variable in your program. Known hai, it's a known variable, but is an unused variable also. Why is it known? Because you have declared it. It's a known variable. You made it a known variable, but it is unused because you are not using it in the rest of the program. So this ID is so efficient that it detects. This can be another feature. Known but unused variable are detected. And then sometime it does happen. On the top, you have declared a variable B. In the program, you are using A. So that means you're not using B, that is unused. But what about this A? You're using an A, but this A is unknown for the computer. Why? Because you are not declaring it on the top. You were supposed to declare it here on the top. That means this A is unknown, but you are using it. So unknown variable that you are using it are identified with, are indicated with the red line underneath them. So it's a kind of error in your program. This variable is called an undeclared variable or unknown variable. To make it a known variable, you go up and you define it here, declare it here on the top. Now, no problem. So this is another feature of an ID. It detects unknown variables are detected. Unknown and undeclared variable are detected. Now I'm telling you something different, which is linked to this. I'm coming to debugging techniques now. What are the debugging techniques? The first debugging technique is you can set the breakpoint in your program. Set multiple breakpoint. Breakpoint meaning a stop point. For example, let me close this and open a new program and a long program. Let me open up a long program. Not this one, more longer. Let me just do copy and paste. Wait. This program is such a huge program, long program. Commercial program can be more longer than this one. My program is so huge, it's so long, and is producing error. And I'm trying to figure it out where the errors are. And I'm not sure. So in that case, what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure whether my program is reaching till this point, or maybe there are some error I doubt. So you can just click here on the leftmost side. When you click, it will show you a red color circle there. So when this red color circle appears, that means you have set this one stop point. And then I want to see whether my program is reaching till this point or reaching till this point, running this particular part or running this particular part or not. So you're not sure whether a particular part in your program is running or not. So you can set the breakpoint there and run. See, now the program is running, and during the execution of the program, bringing you back to this code, and cursor is there blinking, is an evidence that your program is running this line now, has been executed. And to proceed further, you can carry on running this program, click on continue. When you do that, it will proceed and stop to the next point, next breakpoint. This line is highlighted now, running this line, and then you say continue. And then running this line, so gradually moving to the next step point and so on. So from one stop point to another stop point, this will be moving like that. So these are the breakpoints that we have set in our program, so that my program during the execution can stop there and can take me to the code, so that I can have a look at the code, and it will be a kind of evidence that my program is reaching till that point. Got it? Hello, are you there?
Yeah,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Now, this was the feature of IDE actually, that you can click and set the breakpoint. But what if you don't want to use this feature, but you want to do similar kind of thing? You are not sure whether your program is reaching inside this for loop. There are two loops. This loop is called outer loop, or you can say loop one, and this is called loop number two, inner loop, loop in a loop, inner loop. I'm not sure whether my program is running till that point or not. So in that case, what will you do? In that case, you can leave a message there. You can print something. So console.write line, suppose. And I'm writing a message here that work in second loop executed. First loop will run from 0 to 9 time, meaning 10 times. And every time this first loop, I will run, J will run how many times? 0 to 29 time, meaning 30 times. So a lot of iteration now. And every time it will run this, it will come up here, then will come up here definitely, and will show you this. And after that, I want to take a break also. I would write read key so that I can see whether this message is appearing or not. Why am I doing it? I wasn't sure whether my program is running this second loop or not. So let's run it and check. So this message appears, second loop executed. Oh yeah, my program is reaching till that point. I've written that message and coming output here. So that means it has proof that my program is running the second loop. Why is it printing this number of time? Because there was a loop. Loop meaning repeat this thing. So program is reaching till that point, yeah? So this is called what? This is called stub, S-T-U-B, stub. Stubs are what? That is another thing. IDE will not do it. You will have to do it. It's not a feature of an IDE. It's a kind of debugging technique, and user will have to add. So stub, user will write or can write temporary messages at different point in a program to see each part is running as you expected or not. Number of time it happens that you have if commands also. For example, this if command. So you want to see whether this if command then part is running or else part is running. You are not sure about your program is running this then part. So then part executed. You can leave a message there, then part executed. And you can write more than one stubs here. You can write second stub also, meaning second print message also, running then part executed, and then you can write else part executed. and check. Taking input, I'm writing down the number. It says else part executed. So it is my program. The number I have entered, according to the number, this message appeared. So now whoever the programmer is can check that according to the values, your program is running this part, not running this part, the then part is not running. So is this right or wrong? So you can check that easily because you got the code and computer has told you what part ran there, right? So this is called a stub. But these are the messages to be added up by the user, right? So our meeting will appear in 1 minute time. Let's disconnect and reconnect using the same ID. So that will be my second episode of today's class. So come back quickly. I'll stop it here.
Okay.